Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Tasty Tidbits Podcast. Get ready to receive rich, well-seasoned, and tasteful tidbits to transform your life. Each week, Dr. Tiffany comes to you with inspirational encouragement and thought-provoking interviews to help you revolutionize your walk with God. Are you hungry for more of His presence? Then get ready. And now, your host, pastor, author, and motivational speaker, Dr. Tiffany Watkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Tasty Tidbits. I am your host, Dr. Tiffany Watkins. I'm excited to be with you on another exciting episode today. I'm especially excited to have our guest today, Austin Wheeler. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Austin on today, and then we're going to let him tell a little bit more about himself. But Austin spends his time working with dads on being able to balance all things that life throws at them in a timely manner, whether it be to cut their body fat percentage in half. He also does his 3-pillar method schedule of fan, food, and activity integration. He says when we combine all these things, we get moving forward, and we get the moving and feeling better than we've ever had in years. So welcome, Austin, and thank you for being a part of the podcast today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. I'm truly excited about having you on today because I'm even on my journey of being healthy. So I know the listeners will receive a lot of good information as well as I today. But would you tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself?
So kind of like you just said, I work with dads. A lot of kind of losing weight and taking care of yourself, whether that's building muscle or whatever your particular goals are. A lot of it comes down to having everything kind of planned out ahead of time and knowing where we're going and what we're doing. So that, as far as getting everything scheduled that we need to get done in a day, is one of my larger focuses.
Good. So this is something that I have to hear and I'm interested in hearing about, and I'm sure that the listeners would like to hear it as well. But is it possible to eat our favorite foods and still get leaner?
Yes, 100%. Right, that's what everybody likes to hear.
Uh-huh.
Here's the catch, so to speak, right?
Uh-huh.
There's always something. Now, typically, a lot of your favorite foods are not super unhealthy. Even the foods that you know as being unhealthy really aren't that bad for you. What it comes down to is typically processing and the ingredients list going into that food. So you don't have to look at a whole group of foods and think, oh, that's bad for me. Like, you can make brownies and cookies that are protein packed and great for you. You know, it's just about one, or am I gonna actually make the food myself ahead of time so I know exactly what's going in it? And two, am I being mindful kind of what ingredients may not particularly aid me in getting where I want to go? So it's less about the foods, more about, are we paying attention to what's in the foods?
Because, I heard someone say, Austin, before that, individuals sometimes say, well, I eat healthy all the time, but it seems like I'm not losing weight. And I heard one person say, but it's, even though you eat healthy, it's in the portions and how much you eat. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. So basic math, I guess, that we're typically looking for is how many calories are coming in versus how many calories are going out. I think one of the biggest kind of oh wow factors that I've gone through and found with a client before is him saying, well, I eat a super healthy lunch every day. Why am I not losing weight? It's like, okay, what are you eating for lunch? Salad. All right. What kind of salad dressing? And he's like, why does that matter a lot? Like, well, and this is kind of about what I was saying before, right? We want to look to ingredients as opposed to a food group. So he wasn't losing weight eating salads because the dressing had so much oil and preservatives in it that he was adding maybe an extra 300 to 400 calories per every salad just in the dressing. And it's like, well, you're eating more calories of dressing than you're eating calories of food for lunch. So just because it's a healthy food doesn't, or it's just because it's labeled as a healthy food, doesn't necessarily mean that somebody took the time to look through the ingredients and make sure it didn't have a ton of what honestly, if I was going to simplify it, usually what we're looking for is like seed oils, different preservatives, different vegetable oils, and that sort of thing. They're very calorie dense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a key word that you said, and that I've heard before too, as well as calorie dense foods. You have
Yeah,
to be very careful about those foods that are very calorie dense. And most people wouldn't think that dressing would be. And then when I get my dressing, a lot of times I'll just do vinegar. I don't, because I don't think, well, you can help me out, Austin. Is vinegar okay for a salad? Just plain vinegar, not that vinaigrette, but just plain apple cider vinegar.
it's significantly better than pretty much any style of dressing I could think of.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. That's good to know. So now when it comes to fitness, what is the difference between consistency and perfection?
One is, I would say one of them is needed, and one of them a lot of people think you need. As far as kind of my interactions with clients and friends, I feel like people think you need to be working out 7 days a week and
Mm-hmm.
eating the same chicken, broccoli, rice,
Yes.
and then this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, I woke up today and had, I think it was like I don't know what I call it exactly. Maybe you might know, being that this is a little bit more about cooking, right?
Uh-huh.
Take some hash browns and you kind of, I think it's kind of like poutine, but not with any gravy. You cover hash browns with, this morning I did chorizo and egg, like a scramble between chorizo and egg. And it kind of tastes like an animal fry sort of deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you made it at home. So there's no extra oils going in, there's no extra greases. It's just potatoes, chorizo, and eggs.
Oh, wow. And
But
when you were saying that, I was thinking because I was like, I hear meal prep, meal prep, meal prep, and I'm just like, that just sounds so boring. Like just eating the same thing every day.
right, it is, to be honest. It is. My thing with meal prep again, it's kind of consistency over perfection sort of a deal. If you can, so like for me, making meat or making a protein is typically the thing that requires the most cleanup,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it my least favorite. Because of that, the way I look at things is I'll meal prep just the meat that I need. And then, so it's like you still have the I've got food at home mentality that keeps you from eating McDonald's and whatnot, but also you haven't made an entire meal yet. So there's
Right.
still variation in what you're going to eat.
Mm-hmm. And so is perfection more like, for instance, you like you said earlier, like 7 days a week. You just working out 7 days a week. You being strict at what you eat, um, and just, not bending from that. And I find a lot of times that if you get to that, and I don't want to get to that point, and I know a lot of listeners don't, and I've heard people talk about this, you don't want to quit too soon because you get overextended. You work out too much at the beginning. So, um, what's a comfortable place to start, would you say?
I work out twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes 3 times a week if I'm feeling really motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And
And y'all
and I
see
think
Austin's pictures now. He works out twice a week.
well, so here's the thing. I'm 25 now. I've been working
Uh-huh.
out since I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need this whole 7 days a week thing. Let's go super hard. I've done it. I've tried it before. It doesn't work. It hurts a lot. It hurts more than it helps. Typically your body can't actually rebuild itself in that time frame. So it's just causing you more damage than helping you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for saying that, Austin, because I was talking with my sister and she's trying to get the exercise. And I told her, well, when I got consistent with just working out 2 days a week, I saw results, and if
Oh yeah.
and if you watch your eating, you're not overeating, you can still eat what you want, but you just have to count your calories and your portions. And like you said, the density of the food, if you kind of watch that, you can do it. I've started, because I have a personal trainer on 1 day a week because I'm trying to build more muscle. Uh, and it is like, it is tough. And I was like, I don't know if I could do another day. So I'm just like 3 days a week is gonna be for me. I can't do any more. So I'm glad to hear you say that.
2 days
Yeah.
is all that's necessary.
Yes, yes. So in order to lose weight, do I have to stick with a specific plan?
Yes and no. Like I guess it kind of all depends on what you mean by specific plan. So specific plan for me helping somebody lose weight may say we want to look for a specific amount of calories and a specific amount of protein. You can eat what you want to within that realm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are some people that think a specific plan means kind of like what we were saying, work out 7 days a week and chicken, broccoli, and rice. And if your plan is too specific, it's going to end up causing you to burn out before anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, there are also a lot of people online who I call it they go program jumping. So it's like I tried this workout plan for a week and it didn't help. So I'm doing this workout plan for a week. It's like a week is not long enough for you to be on one particular specific plan. So in terms of specific plan, it doesn't have to be like an Olympic level athlete level of detail and what you're doing. But whatever you're doing, it's got to be something that you're sticking to for at least 3 to 4 months.
Mm-hmm. And Austin, I found that, and Austin's going to get you his information as well before we leave today, so you can get more information on how to keep in contact with him. But you have to know what works for you, and I think Austin, you agree with this. You have to know what works best for you to keep you going. And for me, taking a class or taking having someone to coach you along the way, it gives you a level of accountability so that you just won't lay in the bed. Some people are super motivated and with
100%.
yeah, but for me, I'm so busy. I have like things to do every day. It's like I'm overworked. So it's like I have to plan that workup time in and make sure I have somebody that's on me. I'm that type of person that has to have somebody on me. If not, then I'll tend to let myself go. And so I think sometimes it's better to have, well, I know it is to have a plan. So what do you think about that, Austin? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's like having a plan. To be honest, having a plan that you designed with like no prior knowledge is
Mm-hmm.
going to be better than having
Mm-hmm.
no plan at all. Like when I look at the comparison, it's like would I take having a plan done by a 5-year-old or would I take having no plan at all? Like I would take having the plan done by a 5-year-old. If those are my two options, I would say that's how important it is to have everything scheduled ahead of time. Now there are some things kind of like we were talking about with meal prep where you're making one part of the meal and everything else you can kind of change,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to plan ahead so much so that it's like life is miserable because I right now I in 27 hours I know exactly where I'm supposed to be and I know exactly that I'm eating chicken with no seasoning and sauce and rice again, right? We don't want it to be so specific that you feel like you're not you anymore. But
Exactly.
finding that balance, I would say, so we can accomplish progress as quickly as possible is going to be the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me,
Mm-hmm.
what that looks like is I know that protein and a potato carb source is a pretty good meal for me in terms of getting me moving, my like a pre-workout and all of that. There are a lot of different ways to make potatoes. If you steam potatoes, they come out dry and not the best, at least in my experience, but I also don't know how to steam things that well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it's like, well, when I think about that, I'm not looking forward to eating the food that I'm supposed to be eating. I'm looking forward to cheating on that diet, right?
Right.
Now, when you take a potato, cut it into fry strips, air fry, and now you've got these crispy, crunchy French fries. It's like, oh, well, now I'm looking forward to that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's all about kind of, I guess, mainly in terms of your plan, you want to keep it something that you actively say, hey, I'm looking forward to that. And if you can actively say, hey, I'm looking forward to that, then you're probably in a pretty good place, right? If you're going to do something consistently, it's going to be better than you doing something perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's so
So
true. That
planning things that you are excited to do is a huge part of actually getting that plan done.
that's so true. That is so true. So now in terms of fitness, how important is sleep?
Very important. It gets more and more important the older you get, but sleep is going to be one of the most important places that your hormones are regularizing and everything. That's
Mm-hmm.
I think people kind of us underestimate sleep. But one, your hormones are going to balance themselves while you're sleeping in terms of mainly insulin and cortisol coming down, which is going to be great for overall progress. But two, and this is kind of I guess the example that I usually give for this, try and make things in analogies, and then they're I think a little bit easier to understand. When you're working out, right, lifting weights,
Mm-hmm.
we're tearing the muscle, kind of. I don't want you to think about like we're tearing the muscle, destroying it, but we are putting micro tears throughout the muscle that our body needs to rebuild, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I guess I would say remodeling a kitchen, right? Everybody wants to go work out 7 days a week and do this and that, right? That's kind of like taking the sledgehammer through your kitchen. That's the fun part, right? You get to go destroy the kitchen,
Uh-huh.
make way for the new countertop. That sleep period is you actually putting in the new countertop. So I think people assume that going to the gym is where you're building muscle, but you're building muscle when you're sleeping. Going to the gym, I just want you to think about as the
That's
swing
a
in the
good point. Mm-hmm.
of the remodeling and nothing
Mm.
more. But you got to go home and figure out how you're going to get that new countertop in the kitchen, or else you've got what? A hole where your kitchen used to be, and then wires sticking out everywhere, and that's not good.
Mm.
So you're looking at it kind of like a remodel. Sleep is you want to look at sleep as almost everything outside of the original teardown.
Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about that because with me, I'm always up late, and I know a lot of people that are up late, and I try to take natural supplements to try to help me to relax, or to calm down so that I can get that sleep. Because, like you said, there's a hole that'll be left there, and that's just something that you pointed out that's so good, is that we have to try to find that way to get sleep. So, for instance, if we don't get enough sleep at night, can we make up with it with napping? And what is the amount? Should it be about 6 to 8 hours of sleep, or what do you think about that?
6 to 8 hours of sleep is pretty ideal.
Oh,
I wouldn't, I often wouldn't tell people try and catch up with napping. You want to, the way your body processes sleep, you sleep in levels and layers.
mm-hmm,
Your deepest sleep is going to be kind of towards the middle of when you're usually asleep. So if you break it down into multiple shorter periods, you have less time where you're in that deep sleep,
mm-hmm,
where you're in
mm-hmm.
REM sleep, where your deepest stage of sleep. It's going to come close to the middle. So if you're breaking it up too much, then you miss out on a lot of your deeper sleep.
Wow, that's a great point. Great point.
Right. So I don't have anything against naps,
Mm-hmm,
but at the same time, because of that, I don't want you to rely on them necessarily. So that kind of comes down to the scheduling and pre-planning, right? Where it's like
mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a plan to have my phone down by 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's the easiest way to be in bed by 10. If I'm looking at my phone at 9:45 on YouTube, I'm gonna be on my phone till 2 in the morning. I know this about myself.
Right, right, right.
I'm gonna
Right.
watch random videos on the History Channel talking about
Uh-huh.
like how the pyramids got built and all of these things, right? That's where my
Right.
mind is at 3 in the morning. Not
Mm-hmm.
useful to what I need to do tomorrow, right? So planning on shutting certain things down at certain times is going to be one of the easiest ways to get yourself in bed faster. For me, it's my phone in this YouTube application that's on
Mm-hmm.
that phone, always getting me in trouble. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, I guess, a little personal example.
Mm-hmm.
Phone is down by 8, so I can be in bed by 10. Can eat dinner in those last 2 hours or do some stretching, maybe a nice little bit of light yoga. But finding what your particular thing is going to be the most important part.
Great, great, great. Well, many people wonder if lifting weights or doing cardio will burn fat faster. What would you say?
Lifting weights is going to be the easy answer to that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of like a looking at like a kitchen knife versus a Swiss Army knife in terms of how they're burning calories. So in lifting weights, you're going to burn calories while you lift weights. But kind of going back to that kitchen example, you're burning calories the whole time you heal from a weightlifting session.
Mm.
All when all of those micro tears are getting put back together, that that activity within your body, even though it's subconscious activity, actively takes and uses more calories.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at an hour of running versus an hour of weightlifting, in that hour, you may be able to burn 20% more of your calories during running, right?
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the next 2 or 3 days, that lifting session is still going to be burning calories. So,
Yeah.
so in a sense, you're getting the effect of being in the gym for a much longer period of time.
Mm-hmm. You know,
Typically,
I was laughing, Austin, while you said that because I was just thinking about I had legs day last week and my legs were sore for 2 days. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I said I must have been doing a lot of healing during those days.
oh yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Oh boy, I could hardly walk.
Well, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah,
We got to
yeah.
make sure we're doing yoga in between, and we don't want to be stuck like that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's
That's good.
that's good. That's what we're looking for.
So you said stretching in between. You said so you need to do yoga, stretching in between those when you're not doing the heavy weightlifting.
Yes, some type of movement. It doesn't have to be like again, it comes down to consistency over perfection. So my yoga routine personally may take me 5 minutes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's it. And that's very okay. It doesn't need to be anything more than 5 minutes. It needs to be something that you can fit in at the end of every day. So if that's
Mm-hmm.
picking two stretches that you really like for loosening up the hips and doing those at the end of every day, then that's it. But finding something daily where you're moving just a little bit at least is going to be a huge help in getting the soreness gone quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It hurt, but I made myself stretch my legs through it because I didn't want to be more sore because I didn't move at all. Because at night when you go to sleep, it's like you wake up and it's really sore. So I try to make sure when I get up, like you said, to stretch those legs, stretch your arms, because if not, it'll be even more sore, it seems like.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird catch 22 with that, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
if you work out, you're sore. If you work out and you don't work out again, you're more sore.
Mm-hmm.
You work out and you do work out again, then you're less sore. And so it's kind of like just just getting people to in general move through the soreness, right? You don't have to do a heavy workout on the day that you're super sore.
Mm-hmm.
But just getting up and moving around somewhat will really help process that a lot faster.
Mm-hmm. So Austin, everyone, always wants to know what is the fastest way to lose weight?
So there are a couple answers to that. I grew up coaching multiple different sports, but one of the ones that I've helped coach is wrestling. So you learn a lot about weight cuts that different kind of combat sports use. Like I could realistically, when people ask me that question, it's like I could take 30 pounds off you in the next 2 days. It's going to be a miserable process. It's not going to be fun. You're going to feel
Mm-hmm.
terrible. It's going to look like you've had a life-changing experience. Like it's not going to be fun. But I mean, anything is possible once we add in pulling off water weight and all of that. Typically, when
Mm-hmm.
people ask me that, it's like, okay, do you want the fastest way to lose weight, or do you want to know what's going to keep that weight gone for the long
Mm-hmm.
time?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can tell you the fastest. The fastest is going to hurt a lot, though, and the fastest is probably going to result in that weight coming back the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, the answer I give for what's the fastest way to lose weight is more along the lines of go find your favorite kind of guilt food or cheat food, whether that be ice cream or milkshakes or anything like that. Go find that food, and then I'm going to teach you a recipe for getting a high protein, low calorie version of that food. And we're just
Mm-hmm.
going to do that food by food, right? Dessert by
Mm-hmm.
dessert, food item by food item. The longer we do that, the longer that weight stays gone, and the more likely that we're really getting rid of body fat. So typically, because when I hear that question, I think, okay, so this is something that you've done before, and then we find out, yeah, we may have had it kind of call it yo-yo dieting, but may have had
Mm-hmm.
where weight's disappearing and snapping right back, and then disappearing and snapping right back. So the fastest way to lose it and keep it gone, I would say, is find something sustainable for a long period of time, right? So favorite foods, how are we going to edit these recipes to be high protein, low calorie? And say
Mm-hmm.
is the fastest way of doing it healthfully.
That's good. Well, Austin, thank you for being a part of the podcast today. I have really enjoyed this. Has been some valuable and uh, thankful information that you don't have to stress out. You don't have to work out 7 days a week, but there is a plan. And Austin has this a plan for where he works with men, but I'm sure you work with women if we ask you, right, Austin, to get that
I do. It
information.
it just kind of became like, hey, you want to advertise the thing you're the best at. And when I got
Right.
started in this, it was coming off of coaching kids into coaching adults, and a lot of where that started was me being a football coach. So a lot of it was
Mm-hmm.
just football dads. That's kind
Yeah,
of how I got my start. So the advertising is more so advertise what you're best at, right? But yes,
that's
I
right.
do.
That's right. But
I
he
do
helps
coach
fathers. But you know
everybody.
what? If you want to get in shape, again, you see the pictures. He can help you out. So, would you let listeners know how we could get in touch with you?
So I usually just have it's an application link. It's both in my LinkedIn and in my Instagram, either one of those, or I can send you that link itself.
Okay.
Basically, that's gonna go through and it'll collect some of your information, and then I can reach out to you from there on what we might want to do for you exactly to make it happen. It's kind of like we talked about. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. I
Mm-hmm.
know on the top of my head, I can give you a diet right now that would work 100% if you were willing to follow it. But it's kind of like if you're not willing to follow that diet, then we're back to square one. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the I guess the biggest thing is finding out like if as far as closing messages, what I would tell people, find something you like doing, whether that's the kind of food you're eating, the kind of exercise you're doing. Finding something you like doing and not feeling like you have to overdo it is going to keep you doing this for a lot longer than forcing yourself to try something because somebody on Instagram said it worked. Believe me, I've done both.
Right.
One of them hurts, one of them doesn't. It's kind of a pretty simple result. Only one of them doesn't hurt long term. So looking for your best game plan and then making sure we stick to it.
Well, Austin, I like I said, I've loved everything that you said because that's me. I don't want to be miserable. I want to enjoy life, and not have to feel miserable in the
Right.
process of getting healthy. You just don't want that.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the reason people get healthy is so they can enjoy life. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
do I tell somebody that they have to not enjoy life to enjoy life? That sounds a little crazy to me.
Right.
I don't think I could be that guy. But
Right. That's true. Because you have to enjoy it. You could do things in moderation. I'm learning you can do things in moderation. You just don't overdo it. And that's where
exactly,
discipline comes in. So you
exactly.
have to make that sacrifice. But like I told my sister, and I share with her sometimes, I'm not going to be miserable. I'm going to eat what I want. I may not eat it all the time. I may not eat it, every day, but I am going to give myself a splurge day because I went I'm not going to say the name on here, but I had went to a consultation and I was asking the individual, I said, well, can I, have a cheat day? And they was like, no. And I was like, well, I'm not going to pay my money because I won't go through with it because,
Right.
you have to have something, a little leeway. So I wasn't going to waste my money.
Exactly. And that's kind of how I look to build everything as far as my program goes. It's like, look, if you can feel like every day is a cheat day, am I gonna have you cheating ever?
No.
That is the
Yeah.
question that I ask myself. So that's
Right.
why I'm
Yeah.
always saying, hey, I gotta figure out what this person likes to pick the right foods for this person to make sure that this person is gonna be successful because that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, listeners, I'll have the information for Austin in the notes, and you can check that out and you can find him and be able to get in touch with him and let him work with you in order to get you a plan that will work best with you so that you can have meals that you can still enjoy that is close to the things that you enjoy, and you'll be able to start seeing some progress in your journey to being more healthy. So thank you today again, Austin, for being a part of the show, and we really appreciate you having you on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, and you have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
All right, listeners, until next time, have a wonderfully blessed day.
Thank you for listening to Tasty Tidbits with Dr. Tiffany Watkins. If you're enjoying the show, feel free to subscribe, rate, and share with your friends. To learn more about Dr. Tiffany, check out her blog on Goodreads.com or visit her website at www.renewedfaithministriesinc.com. Until next time, stay blessed.